So how to create an effective practice routine. I love this topic. I love talking about practicing English because is one of the most important parts of your development is to practice. We cannot only learn on theory, so we need to practice English. But that practice needs to be effective. The practice needs to actually help you improve. And I know that this, and I'm going to give you an overview what you're going to see today, we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about myths and mistakes that people make when they are trying to practice English, when they are trying to develop their skills. What are the mistakes? Like, what are the lies that people tell? Not lies. Lies is a bad word. That's why I put myth. But myth is like a lie. Like, people say that you have to do something like this, but not always work. So I want to tell you those myths. I want to be able to give you some view of what's going to help you. I want to also help you to measure the effectiveness of a routine. Is this routine that I'm doing, is the exercises that I'm doing helping me? I want to be able to answer that to you. And I want to help you to start and keep a practice routine. I will give you tools that are going to be very helpful for you to practice English. I'm going to tell you a secret to learn a new language that's going to help you to make this process a lot easier for you. I'm going to talk about the immersion method, which is the method that I learned English. And I'm going to give you examples, and then we have questions. So it's going to be a lot of content today. So I will be here on the chat answering your questions, and then throughout this presentation, we'll be able to continue. Okay? Let me check if everything is here. I think the ELSA community is helping us with the page. Is everybody okay on the stadium there? I'm sorry about this, you guys. I just want to make sure that everybody is okay. A good thing that we reached big capacity today. I'm reading the comments here. I hope everything is okay in the ELSA stadium, okay, with the ELSA community. But perfect. I'm going to continue, okay, because I want to respect people's time. So, this is you right now. I put you in this screen. I said, I'm learning English. I need to improve. I think everybody that is here today right now is that person. I need to improve. I want to improve. Because if you think about this, everybody learns English for a reason, right? Everybody learns English because they want to achieve something. They have a goal. They want to travel with English. They want to be able to study abroad. People want to work, get more money, because you get more money when you speak English. You can get paid in dollars. There's a lot of things that you can do with English. You can teach. That's what I do today too. And you can help other people live their dreams. It's amazing. But for you to do that, you are learning and you need to improve. You need to keep improving. But how do I do that, Nanda? How do I do that? What do I need to do to improve my language? What can I do if I don't have time? I know a lot of people are here today, especially the Brazilians. They are here on lunchtime. Thank you for doing that during lunch. But what can I do if I don't have a lot of time to practice? What's the best way to improve? So I know that these are the questions that are in your mind right now, okay? And I want to help you with these questions. So I'm going to start with 2 myths. Myth is like a lie that people say. And a mistake. So 3 mistakes that people do when they are about to practice English. Because if you need to improve, you need to practice, right? So what are the myths and mistakes when people are going to start practicing English? Okay? So I'm going to start with the myths. Is everything okay? I'm sorry if you guys are disappointed about not being able to join I don't know how the community is going to do that, but I'm sorry if some of you are not able to join. Yeah.
Sorry for interrupt you. Yeah, I know there are kind of technical problem here, but I have a solution here. Can you move to Elsa Theaters? And yeah, I know it's kind of
Elsa Theater?
yeah, it's
Okay.
above stadium. Everyone, yeah, because it's limited right now, so you guys can move to Elsa Theaters. Yeah, it's
Okay.
have 9 people there, out there. So
Okay, I can do that.
yes, thank. Sorry for.
Many people around.
Me too, me too.
Just guys, you can just get back to the LZ Stadium because it's 99 right now.
Yeah.
And okay, better.
The people of our group, they should join us too.
As that the chat by video is not available for over 25 users. But if you can hear me, maybe that works. I just want to be able to reach the most people that want to be here today. So I want to make sure that everybody is able to do that. Let me exit the stadium too. So if I can only use my audio, that's okay too. I just want to make sure that people are okay.
Yeah. Can you wait a little bit? Everyone is shifting to display right now. You can start to share your screen again. People are coming in. Yeah, I'm sorry for waiting your time. Yeah, technical problems. Sorry about that. Really sorry. Yes. Yeah, nice work. Yeah.
See, I am in the theater.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
Sorry guys, I have to send Nanda.
What is this?
Hey, can you wait a bit?
Why did you come back?
Please wait here. Please wait here.
Supposed to be in the stadium? I think I'm in the stadium.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're supposed to be here. Sorry for the change. Yes. But it's work now. I know. But yeah, stadium is work again, so people can enjoy the stadium. So please stay in here.
Okay, so I will stay in the stadium. Okay.
Okay.
Let me share my screen then again.
All right. Yeah. Sorry for that. Really sorry for that. All right. Yeah, it's a bug, I guess.
Hello. I don't have any idea about how it works. Could anyone explain for me? I am new here.
I think we cool now, right? Nanda, you are mute.
Yes, you can resume now, Nanda.
Oh, sorry everyone. Can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. I didn't know if I was muted. Okay. Okay. Presenting. So,
I
what?
think it's good now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bit.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, you can. Okay.
Perfect. So I'm going to give you just an overview again very quickly because people entered our chat now and entered our presentation right now. I'm going to talk about myths and mistakes. A myth is like a lie. So it's like something that people tell you that maybe doesn't work for everyone or is not very helpful. So I want to help you with this. I want to talk about mistakes that you can commit when you are practicing English, mistakes that won't help you to improve. And then I want to talk about measuring an effective routine, how to start and keep a practice routine, like that is going to help you. I want to give you some tools. This is going to be so good for you because I know a lot of people here that are practicing English by themselves, or they're trying to find friends here to practice, but I know that most of the time you are alone trying to improve your skills. So I want to give you tools. I want to give you 3 tools today that will help you. I want to talk about the secret to learn a new language today. I want to talk about the immersion method, which is the method that I use to learn English and that I use every day to improve my English. And then I will give you examples and we'll have questions, okay? So, this is you, like I was talking about. This is you. You are trying to learn English right now. You are a basic student, you are an intermediate student, or you are an advanced student. But we all want to improve, right? We all want to change levels because everybody here is learning English for a reason. For example, when I started learning English, I wanted to improve my English because I wanted to study abroad. I looked at Brazil and I said, I don't want to study here. Brazil has... What? Sorry, I couldn't hear it. But you can ask on the chat here. I wanted to study abroad because Brazil is a very good country, but the education is not 100% good. So I was looking for, let me go abroad. I want to study abroad. So I wanted to learn another language. I wanted to be able to go abroad to get more knowledge. But I need to improve. So how can I improve? How do I do that? I need to improve my English to study abroad. I need to improve my English to work. I need to improve to get more money. What do I need to do? What can I do if I don't have time? What's the best way to improve? I know that you are asking you are asking these questions. What's the best way? How do I start? I practice a lot. I don't improve. What am I doing wrong? I want to get paid in dollar now. I need to learn English. How do I do this? What do I improve? And I know that that's a lot of...
Please.
What? Sometimes I can't really hear what people say, but you can ask on the chat. Sometimes it's very confusing to me when people are asking right on the microphone. I can read the people's chat. I think is better because sometimes I get like surprised with people speaking. Okay, so perfect. I will continue, okay? If you have questions, please, I am here. I will share all the slides with you. I will share all the what you need, okay? So how do I start? So I want to start with 2 myths, 2, let's say, lies, and 3 mistakes about practicing English. Because if you want to improve, you need to practice. But what can I not do? Like things that I don't need to do when I'm practicing English. The first myth. A lot of people think that conversation is the only way to improve your English. A lot of people that I meet, for example, that don't even know anything about English, like they're very, very basic. Sometimes they look at me and they say, hey Nanda, I need to improve, so I need to just have conversation classes, right? And the problem with this is that when people think that they need conversation classes and that's the only way to improve their English, they are focusing on one skill only. But they forget that you need other skills to improve your speaking, to improve your performance in English. And people just want to practice one, which is speaking. So for example, let me give you an example of the gym. Let's say that you want to become healthier. You want to lose weight. Some people just think, oh, I need to go to the gym. I need to exercise. But exercise is not the only way to make you become healthier. You don't need to just exercise. You need to eat better. You need to improve your routine. There's a lot of things you need to do. And conversation, yes, is important, but it's not the only way to improve your English. You need reading for vocabulary. You need to learn how to comprehend when people speak. You need to learn how to interpret what people speak. And you can do that better when you improve your reading. You need your writing to fixate. What's fixate? What's to fix, actually? What do you need to fix the language? You need to write it down. You need to improve your writing. And then if you want to produce, what's produce? If you need your performance to be better, you need to start writing. And if you are not listening, if you're not improving your listening skills, you are not going to improve your pronunciation. You're not going to improve context, learning things by context. So yes, conversation is important, but it's not the only way to improve your English, okay? We need to do more. We need to do more, okay? So I'm gonna go to myth number 2. People say, oh, you need to practice at least 1 hour a day. You need to practice so much every day, 1 hour, 2 hours. This is a thought that people have that makes a lot of people frustrated. Do you know why? Because if I don't have 1 hour today and I don't practice, I don't feel good. I feel disappointed. So people are always thinking about duration, about time. And it's not about time. You have to think about the activity that you are doing when you're practicing. You have to think about frequency. Sometimes it's better if you practice every day for 10 minutes than if you practice twice a week for an hour. You need to start creating frequency. So don't think that you need to practice 1 hour every day. No, it's not about time. It's about what you do when you practice. And I'm gonna show you, okay? I'm gonna give you some help with that. Now, let me go to the mistakes, okay? So I gave you 2 myths. The conversation is the only way to improve English. That's not true. It is important, but it's not the only way. You need to practice at least 1 hour a day. It's not about time. It's about what you do. It's about the activity, about creating frequency and repetition. And then now the mistakes that you do when you're practicing English. Maybe a lot of you are maybe making 1 or 2 of these mistakes. And the first one, your practice right now, the way that you practice English right now, maybe it's not aligned with your goal. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have an English interview. You have an interview for a job and you need to practice English. If you are practicing every day with Netflix, it is a good practice. Yes, you are improving your English, learning and getting new vocabulary. But that practice will not help you in a job interview because you need to be doing things that are aligned with your goal. For example, I wanted to study abroad, and I did. I went to the US when I was 17 years old, and I am 27 now. So 10 years ago, my goal was to go to the US to study. And for me to practice English, to prepare for that activity, I needed to practice in a smart way. I needed to align my practice with my goal. So I couldn't just do conversation classes, because for me to study abroad, I need to go through an application process. I need to learn, I need to do a test, the TOEFL test, the IELTS test. How, if I just speak conversation, if I just practice conversation, that was not going to help me. I needed to align my practice with my goal. I needed to practice things that would help me. And I do this here. But how can I measure a effective practice? How do I know, Nanda, if what I am doing is good, is helping me? So here's what I said. Oh, the video. I think if you have a question, can you type for me, because it's very difficult for me to hear. What?
It's okay, Nanda. You can proceed.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes I hear people and then I want to be able to understand. But Nanda, how do I know if what I am doing is good? So I brought you 4 questions for you to ask yourself. Is what I am doing right now helping me to get closer to my goal? Is just practicing with Netflix helping me to a job interview? I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that yes, you can use Netflix, but you have to be more strategic. Am I becoming more confident? People, let me tell you something that is very true. Speaking English and using the English language is about confidence too. It's about speaking when you're making mistakes too. You have to become more confident and comfortable with the language. That's what's gonna help you improve. So if your practice is not helping you to be more confident, then you need to change what you're doing. Because the goal here, yes, is to become fluent. Yes, is to have a good English, but you need to become confident. And if what you're doing right now is not helping you, you need to change. Am I improving all my skills? Am I improving all my skills? Am I improving my writing? Am I trying to? Because if you really want to be fluent, you can't just focus on one skill. You have to become at least proficient or you're comfortable with all the skills. Am I out of my comfort zone? Yes, you're trying to feel comfortable and confident, but for you to do that, you need challenges. You need to get out of your comfort zone. So if you want to know if your practice is effective right now, you need to ask these 4 questions to yourself. Because you need to be challenged. You need to improve all your skills. You need to become more confident. And you need to be closer to your goal. Because I know that there are people here that are only learning English because they like learning languages. But like I said, everybody learns English for a reason. People are trying to work with English. People are trying to study abroad. People want jobs. People want to improve their lives. People want more money. And English can help you with that. So you need to have an effective practice to help you. So mistake number 2. People do something that I call passive exposure. What is passive exposure? Is when people are not using the language when they are practicing. Nanda, how can I do that? If I practice, I am learning English. How can I not be using the language when I am practicing? Well, let me give you some examples. Let's think that you are in class right now, because you are. You are in class, you are here listening to me. But sometimes you are in college. Sometimes you are at school. And then you have a professor and he's teaching you about something. I don't know, teaching you maybe about biology. And you're taking notes, and that's okay. You are listening about, about cells in the human body and all those things. But you are passively exposing yourself to it. You are taking notes, but if you don't revise the notes, if you don't study that again, you will forget. That's passive exposure. If you want to remember things, you need to be active about your practice. Let me give you another example. Let's say that you are in the car and you are listening to a podcast in English, which is a good way to train your listening. But let's say that you just listen and then you get to work and you turn off the radio and you don't listen to the podcast anymore. You will forget all the things that you learned. Because you were listening, but you didn't you didn't revise, you didn't analyze the podcast, you didn't write all the vocabulary. You are not using the language, you're just exposed to the language. It's like, for example, if I put you in a room and I close you alone in a room with a radio speaking in Russian, and I just leave you 7 days in a room alone with just Russian, you're going to learn Russian. You're just going to be listening and exposed to Russian, but if you don't do anything with the language, you don't learn, because that's just passive exposure. Okay? Watching a movie for the first time, why is that passive exposure? Because I have a lot of students that just go to Netflix and say, yes, I'm going to study English today, I'm going to watch this new movie in English and everything. But when you are watching a movie for the first time, you don't pay attention to the subtitles. You pay attention to the story. You pay attention to the scene, the actors. You are trying to understand the story and not to understand the English. That's why it's much better when you practice with movies or series that you have already watched. Because you don't have to pay attention to the story anymore. You know the story. Now you cannot pay attention to the English. You can pay attention just in the language, and that's what's going to help you. And the mistake is when you just do passive exposure, when you're just exposed to English but you don't do anything about that. You need to create challenges, and I will help you with that, don't worry. Mistake number 3, when you become dependent of others. Some people are saying I'm very low, my audio. Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure.
Okay. It's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Perfect. Sorry. Maybe sometimes people are with their microphone, their earphones not working very well, or they need to hide the volume. Perfect. So mistake number 3. People become dependent of other people to practice. Why is that a mistake? Because it's very difficult for us to practice English because we have a very busy routine. We have so many things in our lives, so many priorities, right? A lot of priorities. So it's very easy for me to say that I'm not going to practice English today because my teacher is not here. I'm not going to practice today because I don't have a friend that will speak with me yet. I will not practice today because I don't have an English course. A lot of people make excuses like this so they don't practice English. When you can really become an independent student, you can learn English and become very independent on your own. And yes, it's very important to have friends that speak English with you, that you can practice together, but you cannot think that that's the only way. The problem is when you go very extreme and you think that you will only be able to evolve your English if you have a private professor or teacher. It's good if you can, yes, very good, but you cannot become dependent. If the person is not there, if your friend's not there, if you don't have a teacher, you have to keep going and use the resources that you have. I'm gonna tell you something that might help you. Nowadays, it has never been easier to learn English because everything is about English. Everything can be an English practice, and I'm gonna help you with this, okay? So you don't have to become dependent anymore. But yes, you can use tools, you can use friends if you have friends, you can use our community here. This is all good, but don't become dependent. Use it when you can, and when you can't, you go on your own. Become independent, because when you go abroad, you are going alone. You're not taking your friends. When you go to work, you have to answer the emails, not your friends. You have to become more independent with your improvement. It will help you a lot because it will make you more confident, okay? So let's check, Nanda. Please help me with some tools, because I want to become independent, like you said. I want to improve. Can you send me some tools? And I am going to show you some of these tools are so amazing, guys, that you will love it. So you can use some tools. The first tool I'm going to teach you how to use today is the Chat GPT. Have you guys heard about the Chat GPT lately? It's an artificial intelligence that is recently launched online. It's a very, very good tool for you to practice English and to improve your English. It's such a good tool. And I'm going to show you that tool today. Let me make sure I can show everyone this, but I have a link here and I will show you. Let me see if everyone can see my screen. But yes, perfect. The Chat GPT is an artificial intelligence that will really help you improve your English. You can ask questions about grammar. You can correct your mistakes. You can it can give you direction. And I'm going to show you this tool. I'm going to use it today with you so you know how to use. So for example, ChatGPT, I have it here. This is the ChatGPT. I will send you the link. Let me send you the link here. Maybe I can do this. Let me see if I have the chat and I'll send you the link too. Bam! This is the ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you how to use it. So the first, because it's a conversation, you talk with the intelligence, basically. You talk with the technology. So let's say that you want to know why in the sentence, she likes to dance. Why do I put an S in the sentence? Let's say that this is your question. You can ask the Chat GPT. Look at this. I'm going to do it for you. Why do I put an S on the sentence, she likes to dance? It's a grammar question. And then I enter. Let me see. Oh, let me try to refresh 1 second. Maybe it was not working properly. Let's see if it goes. Perfect. Now it goes. And the Chat GPT answers the question. Look how crazy that is. You can add an S to the verb like in the sentence because it is the third person. Look, it really shows you. Look how crazy that is. Can you guys see? You can use Bing Chat. Yes, you can use any type of artificial intelligence, okay? But this is a great tool for you to learn grammar, for you to ask a question and the answers in English, or you can answer in Japanese, you can answer in Portuguese if you need, but you can use this as a tool when you are practicing on your own. For example, you can use it remember that I told you that you can use to correct your mistakes? Look at this. Correct the following sentence. Look what I'm going to do now in the chat. Correct the following sentence. I worked a lot yesterday and I slept earlier. This is the sentence that I want to correct because I feel like I see some mistakes. Right? Bam. Let's see what it says. The correct sentence is, I worked a lot yesterday and I slept earlier. Oh, look, and it gives me an explanation. This is amazing. This is amazing. You can use this to correct your mistakes. So I know people sometimes are afraid of making mistakes, but you have tools right now that you can ask questions if you don't have a teacher, if you don't have a friend, if you don't know how to practice. This is one tool for you to use. Another example, you can use the ChatGPT to give you direction. Look how cool that is. Let me copy this and show you. You can use the ChatGPT to do this. Can you give me a study plan for me to learn about present perfect in English? Present perfect, it is very crazy to learn, and I know that. Sometimes we need help, and we can ask the ChatGPT to help us. Look at this. Here's a study plan. Day 1, you will read a general overview of the press. This is crazy, guys. This is so good. This is giving you literally a study plan. Look, day 1, day 2, this is all you need to do. At least to start. Of course, this is a technology that is here to help you. It doesn't replace if you are in school. It doesn't replace people, but it helps you to start, right? This is just trying to help you start. Sometimes you feel lost and this can help you, okay? So ChatGPT is one tool that you can use. The other two that you can use is the language reactor. I don't know if you have this. This is a Google Chrome extension that you can. Extension is something that you can put in the Google Chrome. And this one you can use on YouTube and Netflix. And what it does, I'm going to show you. The way that this works is that whenever, let me present this, and then it's bigger, and then I'll show you. The way that it works is that I'm on YouTube here, and then there is the subtitle in English and the subtitle in your language. In my case, is Portuguese, right here. And then it shows you everything that the person is saying. It's like a transcript in English. And you can click on those words too. For example, look, I am on YouTube right now. I have the language react. I think somebody has the microphone on. If you can turn off really quick. The language reactor tool is here. So you can click on this and it will read it to you, and it will show you in Portuguese in my case, but it can show you in Japanese, in Chinese, whatever language that you speak, or it will show you here like examples of when you can use ready. You show you when he used ready here. It's a really good learning tool. It's called language reactor. So when I'm gonna play, there's no sound, okay? But look, whenever he speaks, he's gonna speak now. Whenever he speaks, it changes here. And you can click on the word to know the translation. You can hear the pronunciation of this word. It's very, very useful to have this double subtitles. And let me send you the link to download that. 1 second. I'm gonna send you the link to download the language reactor if you want to have the language reactor on your Google Chrome. Okay, and I will show you. Yes, I would give you some tips on how to practice with movies and everything. That's going to be good too. And we will do that in a second. The third tool is the Elsa Speak app. I think everybody's here probably know about Elsa, right? That we have this amazing app that we can use especially for pronunciation. But what I like about Elsa is that it's also an application of gamification. And it's very easy to access. Gamification is when you learn with games. And I love that. And it also has a community. So if you want to find a friend, this is the place for you to find a friend. If you want to get inspired by people, if you want to come to events like this, they have a community. That's good. That gives you access to information. That's important. So the way that I do it usually is, remember when I said that you need to be active when you are when you are practicing? I have already read Harry Potter like 4 times. I know the story of Harry Potter. I know this. I have the book here. I have it in my hand, but I can't show you, but I have it in my hand here. But the book is a story that I know. So I bought the book in English. So I have the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets book with me. And when I want to practice my pronunciation, I can open a page of the book and I can read it in the Elsa Speak dictionary feature. So I click on this. In your language should be something in your language or speak or something. And I use the dictionary function to practice my pronunciation because I am reading this book out loud to Elsa. So that's usually how I use it, Elsa. It's one of the ways that I use to practice English with Elsa. And when I am reading Harry Potter, I am not paying attention to the story. I am paying attention to the English language. I am analyzing how she wrote. I am analyzing the structure. I am trying to practice my pronunciation. I am looking for better words. I am looking for new vocabulary. So I'm not interested in the story. I am interested in how I can improve English with this book. Okay? And then I use the Elsa Speak app for pronunciation, but you can use it in a lot of other ways. This is just one way. Okay? So Nanda, please continue and explain more about the secret to learn a new language, because I want to learn fast. I want to be more efficient. I want to learn more effectively. So what's the secret? Like, is there a secret? So let me tell you. The secret will be, or is, in your practice routine. Your practice routine, your practice routine needs to have 4 pillars if you want to learn and retain a new language. Okay, so if you want to learn a new language, the secret is in your practice routine. It's how you practice, what you do when you practice. And the first step, the first pillar is planning. You need to be strategic. How can I practice? How am I practicing this week? How am I doing? Like, what am I doing this week to practice? When am I going to practice? Is the practice aligned with what I want? What practice exercise am I doing today? You can't just always practice with just Netflix. It's a good practice, but you need to vary the way that you use Netflix. With one movie, you can practice in a lot of different ways. So you can always use the same material, just practice in a different way. So how does this exercise help me improve? Think about these things. Think about planning. The second step, amusement. What's amusement? Amusement is something fun. You need to have fun in the process. If you don't like learning English, it's going to be very difficult for you to learn English, because you need to learn how to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the process of learning. I remember when I was learning how to English. When I was learning English, I remember that I am still a very big fan of Meryl Streep. She's an actress from the USA. And she is in a lot of good movies that I watch. She's in Mamma Mia, she's in The Devil Wears Prada, and I was a big fan of her. And I remember that I learned a lot watching her interviews, because I am a fan. The same way that people I am a fan of Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. So I always watch interviews. And I started learning how to enjoy watching the interviews and using that as a practice material, because I love it. It's so fun. I love it so much. So I was creating joy, amusement. You have to see, when you practice English, time has to pass without you feeling like you spent time studying. I could watch 10 Taylor Swift interviews, but I cannot watch 1 hour of a boring class. I don't like that. I like to learn with something that is good, something that helps me, that brings me joy. Some people like to practice with music. Good. You have to enjoy the process, okay? I know there are some questions here. I think I saw some. Brian said, "Hi, I have one question. I think it's a need to avoid multitasking when you're learning or whatever it required cognition focus. I really think that focusing on the task is very important. So I don't really enjoy multitasking when I'm studying English. I try to create an environment where I'm only doing that one practice, because like I said, you don't have to do it for a long time, but you have to be able to focus and do an activity that will make you confident, that will help you. So I think if you are trying to do a lot of multitasking, you become a passive, you have a passive exposure, and you want to be active. And whenever you're active, you are 100% focusing. So on learning English. So I think they have. Another question that I saw, is there any way to study with Elsa on my laptop? I don't know if Elsa has a desktop version. I think the community can answer that. I always use it on my phone because it's I take it everywhere. But I think there could be something that people can do on the desktop version. I think the community is answering on the chat. Okay? Now we'll continue with the other pillars and I'll see other questions, okay? You have to have resilience. Nanda, what's resilience? You have to be patient because you will not learn a language fast, but you can improve fast. And that's what you need. You will not learn a language in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks. But you can improve a lot in 8 weeks. I have had students that in less than 4 weeks, they were already applying for jobs in English and trying to use the language, but they don't know the full language, but they have enough to make them confident to use the language because they are improving fast. And that's what you want. You want to improve fast. You want to make mistakes fast. You don't want to learn a language fast because it will take time. So what makes you grow are the challenging situations that you put yourself through. To succeed, you don't have to do much. You don't have to do a lot for you to have a good English. You just have to not give up. Don't give up on the process. People that learn the language is because they don't give up on the process. It's hard, yes. It's difficult, yes. It's confusing, yes. But people are doing it every day and they improve fast until they reach what they want. Okay, so you cannot give up. You have to be resilient. I see a lot of people that are anxious trying to find a hack. No, you need to find structure. You need to find frequency. I am fluent in English and I do this every day because I don't want to lose my English. I don't want to. I want to learn how I can teach people. I want to improve as a teacher. I want to get more opportunities with English. So it's a constant feeling of improvement. I am improving every day. There is no day that you wake up and you say, wow, I don't need to practice English anymore because I'm fluent. No, if you don't practice, you will lose it. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So yes, you have to get used to practicing English. English has to be part of your life. Don't give up on the process. You will get better, but focus on improving. I am fluent and I still think I can improve. And I think you should too. Okay, so don't give up on the process. And you can do this if you have method. You need method, okay? You need a method of study, of practice, of a method that you can follow. So for example, what's a method? Method is direction. You need a strategy. You need repetition. You need to either create your own or you can use other people's methods. And I'm going to tell you the method that I use to learn English. If you enjoy, maybe you can apply too, but you don't have to. Just remember that there are a lot of different methods that you can learn to learn English. But I'm going to show you one, just the one that I used. But you can feel free because the best method is the one that fits with your personality, the one that fits in your schedule, the one that fits in your goal. And I'm going to show you one that's very effective, which is the immersion. I have learned English with immersion. And to me, immersion is one of the best ways to learn because it makes you use the language. Immersion, it makes you be a active exposure student. You expose yourself actively. And for a long, long time, people thought that immersion was only meant... People thought the immersion was only able to be done if they traveled abroad. People were like, oh, I need to learn English, so I'm going to go to the US right now to have immersion. Because people want to be exposed to English every day, all the time, because they think they're going to learn like that. For a long time, people thought that immersion was just going to the USA, going to Australia, going to New Zealand, going to Canada to learn English. But the truth is, you can learn immersion right now in your own house, because that's what I did. I learned how to create immersive environments in my own house so I can learn English here in Brazil and then travel. But when I was traveling, this is me, some pictures from my experiences abroad. I did go travel, but when I got there, my English was already very, very, very good. I did not have a single problem with my English. So I didn't learn English abroad. But I learned other important things. How do international students that come with no English, how do they learn English in the US? What are the patterns? Why do exchange students learn more English than tourists or people that stay in the US or Canada or Australia for 2 months? Why does that happen? I talked to so many bilinguals, like a lot of bilinguals that were my friends, people that were learning English abroad. And I also talked with some people that don't evolve their language when they are abroad. And there's a reason for that. I discovered the DNA of immersion. Why people that go abroad to study, why international students learn more, why some people don't involve their English if they are in the US and they don't learn. How does that happen? What is the DNA of this pattern? And I found out that people were actually learning English through immersion when they have a high active exposure. Active exposure is when you have to be 100% focused and you have to answer, you have to use the language at all times. Think of me as a student. This is me when I graduated. I studied in the US too. If I did not improve my writing, if I did not have an active exposure to the language and I was listening to my professor, taking notes, taking tests, writing presentations, communicating, if I was not doing that, I would lose my scholarship. I would not be there. So I needed to have this active exposure. I needed to respond to the English that was coming in my ear. And I was doing that in my house before I went too. And here, you need to develop the four of your skills. People that are abroad, especially students. Why do international students learn English fast? Because international students, when they are abroad, they have to make presentations. They have to work on their communication skills. When they are there abroad, they have to write papers. They have to take notes. They have to attend the classes. They have to understand the topics. They are always active exposing themselves and developing their four skills. And there is a consequence if they don't use English. Today, maybe you are in the house right now, and if you don't use English, do you have a consequence? No. You just, maybe I'll study tomorrow. But you need to have the feeling of a consequence or the feeling of a challenge. Because if you don't have this, you will not learn. If I did not study or listen to my professor or develop my writing skills, I would not get my diploma. So I needed to use the language, because if I don't use the language, I will have a consequence. And in Brazil or any other country where you don't when you don't have a consequence, it's very easy to change priorities. You don't prioritize. And I use Brazil as an example because I am here and I am Brazilian, and only 2 million Brazilians, that's a big number, but Brazil is huge. But only 2 million people are fluent in English in the country. And that's so little because people don't have a consequence if they don't use it. People don't have, if they don't have a consequence, they're always trying to find an excuse and leave it for tomorrow. Or, of course, we don't have a lot of good structure in education. There are more problems to this, but it's a very low number of people that actually become fluent in Brazil because people need these skills. But you can do this in Brazil or any country. You can have this, which is the immersion. You can have high active exposure in your house. You can develop your four skills. You can create consequence for you if you don't use English today. And I'm going to teach you. So write down, this is the ingredients to create your own immersive practice routine. Okay? So to create your own immersive practice routine, first you need a fun material. Fun material is something that you are interested in. I love Taylor Swift. I will learn using her Interviews. Oh, my fun material is to read newspaper. I'm gonna read newspapers. I'm gonna read magazines. I'm gonna read articles on the internet. You need a fun material. You know, sometimes fun is something that is curious to you. For example, the Chat GPT. I showed you today a very, very good tool called the Chat GPT. And maybe you are curious about the chat. You can maybe go online and find articles in English that explain the Chat GPT. I love, for example, to find articles about the universe because I am curious about the universe. And it has to be fun because I want to know about the universe. So I don't mind reading articles or watching a lot of videos about the universe in English because I'm curious. So it has to be a fun material. And you have to practice with 2 skills. Every practice have to have at least 2 skills. Practice multiple skills with a task. And you can use the same material for that. And then you need something that is very, very good to know. That is called a UCNT. That's the name that I gave. Urgent, challenging, need technique. You need a technique that makes you need the language at that moment. You need to create urgency to use the language. Because remember here, you need a consequence if you don't use it. Because if you don't have a consequence, you will have change of priorities. You need to feel like you have to practice English today. So you need to feel you can do this with a challenging need technique. And I'm going to teach you one today. So you can do this in the house. Okay? For high active exposure, if we aren't good enough, it could be quite stressful before you reach the point. How do we deal with it? This is a very good question. I will show you this in I will continue in a second, but I want to answer this question. I know it's very stressful. In learning another language, to have this active exposure is very tiring. You will feel tired. But I am going to tell you this. When I was abroad, and my English was very good, I improved, yes, but my English was very good when I went abroad already because I did these exercises before I went. But when I got there, I saw a lot of students that didn't have a good level of English. And their face was very tired. They were, oh my God, I'm so tired. I feel like I don't rest. Because they're having the active exposure when they were doing their goal. For example, their goal is to study abroad. They went abroad and they were very tired because they waited to feel the stress when they were living the experience that they wanted. What I'm trying to do here is, yes, it's going to be stressful. This is not easy, but it will help you to be better prepared and not stressed when you reach your goal. For example, do you prefer to be a little, I know it's stressful, okay guys, I'm not saying it's easy, and that's why I say you need resilience. You need to be resilient, you need to be patient, you need to be accept that it will be challenging because it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be speaking English, but it's not easy. So I prefer to be stressed today, tomorrow, this week. I was stressed this week preparing this presentation, but I prefer not to be stressed today on the day of the presentation. So I always feel like it's better to prepare before than when you leave to prepare on the day of when you have to use it. So because the stress is hard, but it will become easier. The more you do something, the easier it will be. Okay? So if you think that you are not good enough, that's a feeling that I feel and I felt, and I'm a very insecure person. I know it doesn't seem like I am, but I am a very insecure person. And what really helped me was repetition. I presented this presentation yesterday like 10 times to myself. I tried to find mistakes. I try to practice. I always try to create simulations that make me feel more confident. Because sometimes we don't feel good enough because we don't think our pronunciation is good, our listening is good. But good thing that those are things that you can improve. And it's okay if you're not perfect today. It's not okay. It's okay if you're not perfect today. What's not okay is if you don't try to improve because you don't think you can. So you always have to put one foot in front of the other. Know that you're not good at pronunciation today, but tomorrow you can be. And it's okay because it's a process. We have to learn to enjoy the process and to stay in the process because you can't give up. Okay? Try to be positive about things. So I want to show you, before I answer questions, I just want to show you a technique, an immersion exercise, like using these ingredients, just so you have an example, and then I can jump right to questions, okay? I promise. So you need a fun material, you need to practice at least 2 skills, and you need a technique, and I'm going to give you one today. And it's the most important technique that you can learn, because this will really help you develop your skills. So you need a fun material. Fun material, like I said, it can be a YouTube video. It can be a soap opera. Brazil, we are very big with soap operas. And it can be a material in your language. It can be in your language. It can be in Portuguese. It can be in Spanish. It can be in Chinese. It can be in Japanese. It can be in whatever language you speak. You just need a material that you are interested in. It can even be the summary of your day. It can be the anticipation of an activity. It can be a simulation. Yesterday, I practiced English with this presentation. It can be a movie. It can be a show. It can be a TV show. It can be an interview. It can be an article. Daily situations. For example, if I bought a sunglass today, I bought sunglasses. I can think about that situation and think, oh my God, if I were in the USA or Canada or Australia or any other country that speaks English, if I needed to buy sunglasses, how do I ask for the price? How do I ask for the color? How do I say contact lenses in English? Like how you can use the daily situation to learn English. You can use content on social media to learn English. It's a fun material. You have access to this. That's why it has never been easier to learn English, because you have access to these materials for free. It's in the internet. It's online. You have access to this for free. Some people can see movies on YouTube. Some people download movies. Some people have Netflix. Some people don't have Netflix, but they have other types of places to watch movies. They have TV. You can find access in materials for free. For today, this practice, I'm going to use the summary of my day. Okay? And I'm going to use 2 skills. Remember this? This is the ingredients. Fun material, 2 skills, and the urgent, challenging need technique. So I have the fun material, and now I'm going to use the 2 skills. So I wrote in English about my day. Very easy. Today my day was very exhausting. I worked too much and I stayed too long procrastinating to do a project that I have to deliver at the end of the week. Very simple paragraph that I wanted to write about my day. So I wrote, boom, check 1 skill. But now I need a urgent, challenging need technique. And I'm going to show you this switch 2 times. This is a very good technique that I'm going to teach you. Is when you write or you speak or whatever you want to do, when you have this material that you wrote and you have to say the same thing, but in another way. For example, look at this. Today my day was very exhausting. I worked too much. So I have information here. My day was exhausting. I worked too much. I procrastinated, and I have to deliver a project. This is the 3 informations here. I wrote this again. I did not add any more information, but I wrote it differently. I am expanding my vocabulary. I am trying to use the language. I need to use the language right now. I need to think. Remember, you need something. You need a consequence. I need to find another way to say this information. I worked a lot today, so I am super tired. Look how different. Today my day was exhausting. It's the same thing, but I forced myself to look for other ways new vocabulary to say the same thing. I had to finish a project, but I didn't finish it because I spent too much time on my phone. Oh my God, it's the same thing as saying that I was procrastinating. If I was procrastinating, it's because I was on my phone. I found a different way to say the same thing. I need to finish this soon. It's the same thing as saying I have to deliver it at the end of the week. It's the same information. I am communicating in a different way. Oh, but it switched 2 times. I have to switch again. So I'm using the same information. I wrote it again. And now here it is. A third option of the same content. Today was a very busy day. Look, today my day was exhausting. I worked a lot today, so I'm super tired. Today was a very busy day. This is the same thing. It's just in 3 different ways. You need to get creative with English because sometimes you don't know how to say exhausting. So you can say super tired. And if you don't know how to say super tired, you can say that you had a busy day. It's the same thing. You need to vary, and this exercise forces you to vary. I now have to find some time to finish my project tomorrow, since all I did today was procrastinate. Look at this. This is so interesting to do because this is challenging for you. Because sometimes you don't know how to say exhausting, but because you want to switch to another form, you have to find the word tired, the word exhausting. So this is a very good technique that you can do if you want to create an immersive environment where you need to use new vocabulary, where you need to do this. Develop your 4 skills. Where you need a consequence. What's a consequence? A challenging. You need to be challenged because you need to find new resolutions for this, for the way that you want to explain something in English, and you have to be active. Sometimes this will take you like 20-30 minutes, but it's challenging, and that's good because speaking English is challenging. And here I wrote it, but you can speak it too. I can read this out loud, so I am practicing 2 skills. Okay, so this is one of my favorite exercises to do immersion in the house. I can use any fun material to do this exercise. Okay, and this is the one that helped me the most because sometimes I don't know a vocabulary and I need to think fast, and this helps me to think fast because it prepares me for situations. It makes me more creative. Okay, so now just a summary of today. English is everywhere and everything can become an English practice. This today, right here, this lecture, this presentation, you can use this presentation to practice English. You were here for an hour, over an hour, and you learned things. You can take notes, you can summarize what I said today, and you can do this practice to summarize. You can summarize here what I taught you today. Then you can do the switch 2 times technique. Look, I'm giving you options today. English is everywhere. You can watch a commercial in Japanese today and try to summarize. Try to find the vocabulary the person spoke in Chinese, but try to find it in English. You have to be creative, and this helps you be creative. Immersion is one of the best ways to learn and retain a new language because you are there trying to evolve your 4 skills, and that's how you improve. And just learn to enjoy the process because it's not fun if I told you to only practice with podcasts if you don't like podcasts. I can't just come and say you can only practice with music. My father hates movies. He doesn't watch it. He doesn't have the patience. So I cannot tell him to watch a movie and practice English with movies because for him it's way better to practice with articles. He likes to read. So he is enjoying the process. He will learn English with reading. Okay? There's no only one way to do things. This is just an example of what you can do, but it's not the only way. So there are other methods out there, but to me, immersion is the best. One of the best ways that you can learn to retain a new language and to prepare you for what you want to live with English, okay? So here is time for questions, okay? So this was my presentation. Let me see if there were some questions in the chat. How to work on phonetics and syllable sounds. I usually do a technique called shadowing. When I'm practicing, when I was starting to practice my speaking skills, my pronunciation, I really try to mimic what other people were saying. I would hear somebody say something in English and I will repeat. So I will use interviews on the YouTube. I will use movies or movies that I already watched, and I would try to repeat right after the actor, and I was doing that. That's called shadowing, and that was one of the ways that I learned the phonetics and syllable sounds. And of course, I was using at that time too the subtitles to, when I speak, I would read at the same time. So I was connecting the sound to the way that people wrote that word. So that's how I did it. Yes. Transform your thought process into English. Cool. How do you think people become polyglots? It's not easy to learn one language, but some people master like 10. I think they use the same. I think this step here, let me find it again. I think they use the same idea as I said here. Let me find the 4. I think with this, they can replicate this with any other language, because you can use this technique that I showed you. I use the method of immersion, but there are other methods. For example, I had people, I watched this video of a person that was learning English because she worked in a company and she had to just read the reports in English, and she used the reports, like the boring financial reports, to learn the language. She had to do it. So she found amusement too, because for her it was interesting, because she loves numbers and she was a person working with accounting. So she had the method of using those reports to learn. She had the resilience to do it, and she also had the pressure to do it because she was working with it in English. But she enjoyed it. And she planned ways to practice. So I think you can use this structure with any other language. And I think polyglots, they just create the need to use the language and to find fun. For me, for example, it was very fun to learn French when I was in college because I really liked the teacher, and the teacher was very fun. So maybe amusement sometimes is about the moments that you practice French, and I practiced French and I studied French for only 6 months because I was in school and I needed a language, and I learned how to like French because of my professor. And I still remember things today in French after 10 years because it was fun for me, and I had all these 4 pillars here. And I think that's one of the ways that polyglots learn so many languages. They just identify the method that works with them, they plan, they don't give up, and they have fun. I think that's like a basic ingredients, but those basic ingredients that help them. I can share the presentation. I'm so happy that you learned something from this. How do you manage to get yourself to write a summary of the day every day? So usually what I do at first, what I would do, depending on your level of English, maybe you can write your summary in your language. Let's say that I wrote in Portuguese, for example. Maybe you can try writing parts of the summary that you know. For example, let me find the summary here again. So, for example, this is sentences that are, yes, basic, but sometimes you don't know the word exhausting or things like that. But today you know, my day you know, was, maybe you know, very you know. So maybe if you don't know the word exhausting, I could have come here on ChatGPT and wrote in Portuguese. Well, I'm gonna write in Portuguese, okay, guys? I can say, how to write exausto is exhausted in English. But I asked the chat GPT to just tell me. See? Exhausted. So you can like ask, maybe have the translator to only translate words that you don't know, but try to use the language. You know the word today. You know my day was very exhausting. Okay? I said exausto is exhausted, but it's exhausting, like of exaustivo in Portuguese, another word, but that was just an example. To do a project. So words that you don't know, you can look for them. But that's good because you are creating the need to use that language, that word. And I'm going to give you an example right now of when I learned the word tenedor, I think is the name in Spanish. And I think it's fork, if I'm not mistaken. When I was in Spain, I was a volunteer in a hotel. That was a hotel that had a English camp. So I was there teaching English in that camp. And I remember that the kids, not all the kids know how to say the words in English. So sometimes they come to me speaking Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. Spanish of Spain is very difficult. I can understand a little bit because it's similar, but it's not the same. It's not like similar like British English or American English. It's not like that. It's a whole other language. It's very difficult. But I remember that I had to stay in the food court, like in the area that the kids were eating. And I remember that I was in charge of over 100 kids. So 100 kids eating in Spanish. They were all speaking Spanish and I was there. And I remember one of the girls that works there, she said, you have to say, se queda el tenedor para el segundo plato. I needed to like say something like this in Spanish. And I remember the sentence because she said, say the sentence so the kids need to give you the fork. No, the kids need to keep the fork to eat the dessert or to eat the second round. And I needed to remember that sentence, so I was repeating it to every kid that was coming to me. I said, te queda el tenedor para el segundo plato. I was like saying the same sentence over and over again. And I remembered the sentence, and I remembered the tenedor, which is the fork, because I created a situation that I needed to use the word, and that situation made me remember that word forever. And that was 2 years ago, and I still remember it. And I don't speak Spanish, I don't use Spanish, but I remember because I needed to use, because there were 100 kids and they needed to keep their fork so they could eat. So I remember that I just remember from repetition. And that was one way that you can like, if you needed to say exhausting here, you're creating the need to use exhausting. So it's almost the same experience. It will make you remember. I will share the presentation. If I understand the language but I cannot speak it, how could I improve? Because when I speak, my brain... Okay, you can improve. For example, speaking out loud, like I said today, is not only the only way that you can improve. You can improve maybe by writing. You can understand maybe because your reading is really good. Or if you understand, because you may read, or you can listen, or your listening is very good. One of the two. I think listening and reading are one of the two main skills that people are easier for people because they can identify. Especially reading. Sometimes when you read, you know the word, but you don't know how to pronounce. So I would use, when you play with two skills, when you try to practice with two skills, always put one skill that you are comfortable, like reading, practice with the fun material with reading, and then you use that skill to push your speaking. Because maybe if you write more in English, it will help you create, it will allow you to develop your thoughts. Like if I want to say today my day was very exhausting, if you wrote this first, maybe it will help you to have the time to think about what you want to say, and then maybe you can practice speaking after. Develop like a little process. Maybe you write first until you become confident. I studied French for 4 years and I talk to myself in French. Good! I did that too. To retain, yes, I am a shy person. I have insecurities, and I did not like to practice with other people. So I really needed to practice on my own. That's so cool. You're fluent in Spanish. Yes. Yeah, sí, se queda el alternador para el segundo pato. That's what I remembered. I started learning English in November with Elsa. My friends are surprised. Yes, you can improve every day. Every day you can improve. It's about frequency. It's about trying to not giving up. That's so good. I'm proud of you, Rose.
Nanda, can I ask you one? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you for your presentation. It is very nice. And it was very nice to. I am Brazilian too, so it's very nice to know and to see other Brazilians talking very well and explaining to us.
Good.
So thank you so much.
Thank
In my
you.
case, is similar to the answer the question that I have here in the chat. I study all days in English. I am a medical student, and I have to read a lot of articles in English and etc. I understand the articles. I see a lot of YouTube videos too in English, and I understand all these situations. When I travel abroad, I can communicate with people, but I'm not that confident. I want to communicate as in English as in Portuguese,
Okay.
to express myself better in the best way. I don't know. I just want to speak in English with more confident and expressing more myself.
Yes, perfect. And I totally understand what you're saying, and I think for you to be, because your English is very good, you speak very clearly. I love that, and it seems like you have a good understanding, and you're developing all your skills because you're reading, you're writing, you're trying to do that. But I think what gets to people sometimes is external problems. For example, when you are in a situation with a native person, maybe you don't feel comfortable, not comfortable, but you feel some pressure. And what I think, not just pressure, you don't want to make mistakes, and you're focusing too much on trying to improve instead of just communicating a message. Because I know you are trying to improve right now, and you are on the very right track to improve. And I think what will help you is to maybe when you are in a situation with natives, to focus on communicating a message, and then improving on that message when you're not with the native anymore. Remember what you said, and maybe try to create a escape route for you, or a creative route when you are not in a situation of pressure or when you are nervous. For example, if I recorded myself today, right now in this presentation, let's say that I'm talking to natives, and I wanted to improve on that. I know that when I am speaking right now, I'm nervous. I have people here. It changes my performance. Because depending on who I'm talking to, if I just talk to just you, we are Brazilians. We're comfortable with each other. It's because there's this level of pressure that is less. It's not as pressure as if you were talking to natives or in a situation where you need to use the English language very well. So what I would do is maybe try to improve when you are comfortable and not when you are uncomfortable, because that makes you stuck, it freezes your mind, because you're trying to function when you are nervous, or when you are, and that makes you more nervous, and that doesn't help you. So I could have recorded this today, and I think they recorded, and I could watch it again. And then I can pay attention on my mistakes. Because if you are focused on just improving in a situation where you are already nervous, you don't even realize when you make mistakes. So I think part of improving is realizing that when you are more comfortable. So sometimes I listen to things that I say to just try to improve after, but not as I am doing, because it takes a lot of effort for me to function in English, to think in English right now, to speak, and there's a lot of processes, and if I add one more process, that kind of disrupts my mind. So I think maybe that will help you after. And I think this is one of the techniques that you can also apply to improve too, because this will force you in comfortable situations to think of different ways of saying the same thing. That's usually how I improve my vocabulary. Like, I can think of other words. Maybe I don't know all the synonyms for exhausting. I can use other words here, but I don't want to think of other words for exhausting when I'm speaking to a native person. And I'm just like, what's the word? I don't want to do that. So I'd rather practice when I'm more comfortable and not under pressure. So maybe that...
I really like this format, like to switch in 2 or 3 more
times.
It's really good.
I think it will help you. I think it would just help you to think, because the next time you might remember words that you used here in these situations. So I think that will help you. Let me see.
Yeah, probably. I will try to like put this in my daily practice.
Okay, that's perfect.
And it's what you said, like in real situations, just let it flow.
Yes, just try. I always focus on being on portraying or showing a message. Like, I need to say something, and here I found 3 ways of saying that. One way is very simple. I can say today was very busy. That's simple. But if I want to be more, I don't know, show more advanced or something like that, maybe it's I can use other words. I can use exhausting or something. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ilya.
Yes. Thank you. Good. I think, is everyone okay? Hello?
Yeah.
Well, if I may, I want to say that I like the presentation very much. Thank you for your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nanda, for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm very happy to be here.